Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to start a new series. So I'm on travel right now. Just finished an interview with Hot Horology, Justin from Hot Horology, about the watch industry. And this came up in conversation on why people choose certain watch brands. How do you respond to that? If you're on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or any of these other social media places, you will see tons of pyramids and hierarchy and ranking watch brands and all this other hyperbole of which watch is the best in God tier. And my personal belief is that for the average watch buyer, that does not help you. Because if I have saved up and worked for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month to save up to buy a $300 watch, the fact that you just told me that this $40,000 watch is God tier does not help me. If I have worked and saved and invested and I've collected for years and years and years, and I am looking to invest my resources and time for some kind of level of enjoyment back, and some of the watches that I'm looking at are in the 70,000 range, the fact that you tell me that this $20 quartz watch that some billionaires or whatever may wear is God tier does not help me find my next watch. I have to think about what is it going to really help me find my next watch. So for me, I want to take those pyramids or those hierarchies or those tiers and take them, shine them up real nice, and turn them sideways and make a bow. And when I say make a bow, meaning that watch collecting is a spectrum because you enter different points of collecting over time, over experience, over budgets. And something that you might have been interested in 30 years ago, you may not be interested in 30 years from now. We have to figure out what is a spectrum, what is a reference point. So today, this is going to be a somewhat in-depth conversation. I want to start off with the reference point, roadmap, spectrum, whatever you want to call it, of watch collecting, regardless whether we like it or not, regardless of whether or not we want to agree with it. We have to accept it that almost everything in the watch industry is referenced to Rolex. As good as a Rolex, cheaper than a Rolex, more expensive than a Rolex, better than a Rolex. Whatever it is, it's still going to be based by Rolex. And if you turn around and ask somebody what kind of watch, or what's their next watch, or what company have they heard of, more likely than not, they're going to say Rolex. So why is Rolex the reference point? In my opinion, Rolex is the most complete system when it comes to buying watches. They have some of the best manufacturing as far as a process to where they can make estimates upwards of 1.5 million watches every year, to where 99.9 plus % of those watches come off that assembly line almost perfect. Next, sales, distribution. In almost every part of the world and on the ocean, you can find a Rolex authorized distributor or authorized dealer. You get to the servicing part. Almost anywhere in the world, you can find a watchmaker who can work on a Rolex and fix that Rolex for you. So you have manufacturing, you have sales and distribution, you have servicing. Then on top of that, the secondary market, the resale market, is indexed for the most part to Rolex. So when you time to evolve out of that particular piece, you can turn around and actually go find somebody who wants to buy the Rolex. That is the perfect closed loop system when it comes to buying anything. And so that is the reference point, Rolex. Now, as far as horology goes, Rolex has some very deep references, deep resources. They may not have the most complex watches, but they have complex watches. They may not have the most toolish industrial watches, but their watches are able to be used for tool and industry. They may not have the most decorative watches, But when you see some of these off catalog watches, they are highly decorative. If you get a factory diamond set or even jewel set Rolex, it is considered to be one of the most universal, even whatever you want to call it, consistent arrangements of diamonds in the industry or jewels on a watch. Once you get to that point, and if you look at the spectrum of it, you have functionality. What is a watch that is actually used for, whether it's a dive watch, a pilot watch, or anything like that? What is the watch that is used just for that? Then you have, on the other side, you have artistic expression, where the layout, the engraving, the handmade finishing, all of this applies to the watch. But you still have to have a reference point to know what is good enough and what is great. So I put Rolex in the middle of that. If I want to go from one side of this map to the other side of the map, well, just like the world, it's round, contrary to popular belief, it is round. So just like the world is round, you don't have to go straight through Rolex in order to get to the other side. There are different ways to get there. 2 plus 2 is 4, but also is 3 plus 1 and 1 plus 3. There are different ways to get there, even though we end up in the same spot. If you wear one Rolex over the course of a month, the amount of seconds that is off from when you started, 9 times out of 10, really within 10 or 15 seconds. But the watch that most people will consider an alternative to that, Omega, can be even more precise. And so with Omega, you have a watch that's a watch first. It's precision first. Their history is based off. As a matter of fact, and I don't know if you guys know this, but from Jesse Owens to Usain Bolt, Omega has recorded world record times officially, like for the Olympics. So Omega gives you this kind of established baseline of what a tool, or what the pinnacle of a tool watch is. And if any slight to Omega is that they're too toolish, like they may be too thick and they may be too robust or whatnot, not as ornamental or jewelish as a Rolex, but that might be the case. But keep with me here. We're just talking about reference points. If I wanted to go from tool to artistic expression, that's where I go over to Cartier, who probably has more iconic case shape and designs than any other watchmaker or watch manufacturer out there currently today. All these different designs that Cartier is able to do, and they put it into an artistic expression first packaging. So when you go to haute horology, into the independent space, which is kind of like on the opposite side of micro brands, when you're going over there, you can now see how both sides connect with each other. Because I can start off with high Japanese independent micro brands or high Italian independent micro brands, which are very expressive, and then end up going all the way around the opposite side to end up at F. Pigeon or De Bethune or Gruber Force, and then maybe even saying, "Hey, I want something that's more everyday," and get to Alain Zone and Patek Philippe or Audemars Piguet. That is where you can go from enjoying the artistic expression of Cartier. Cartier can take you to those high-end micro brands, and Cartier can also take you around to where you have a Cartier artistic expression, and you have something like a Denison microbrand that is also quartz, a tank that's quartz, and you have now bridged the gap because that is what you have learned. I like to say sometimes you have to go through some of these watches so you can learn more about what you like and what you enjoy. And it's kind of like going to school. It's kind of like learning, paying the tuition, so to speak. And when you have this artistic expression on one side, the toolish on the other side, well, how do I achieve both of those and bypass Rolex? Are there ways I can do that? Or do all roads lead to Rolex? Instead of all roads leading to Rolex, how about all roads originate from Rolex? If I wanted to go to high precision, finishing grade to where that the watches are still finished by hand, and done in a way to where it's subtle, everyday watch. It still has a level of elegance. Maybe even the dials are hand done. That brings me to Grand Seiko. Crater. You will see a lot of times people who go into Rolex, can't get a Rolex, discover Grand Seiko, and now all of a sudden their baseline, their reference point to what a watch should be is now Grand Seiko and precision and artistic expression. What about if I want something that's really tooly, but still has expression and it's a tool watch? A watch I could take anywhere in the world and it can get banged up, but somebody 6 feet, somebody across the room still knows what watch that is. You have Panerai. And Panerai has this artistic expression that they can be beautiful in a rugged elegance kind of way. When you get to these known references, that means that Panerai now becomes a reference. Cartier becomes a reference. Grand Seiko becomes a reference. Grand Seiko may get you to Crador. Grand Seiko may get you to King Seiko. Omega becomes a reference. Omega may get you to Rolex, but Omega may turn around and get you to Blancpain or get you to something in the neighborhood of Glashütte Original. Cartier may get you to Rolex, but Cartier may turn around and get you to Patek Philippe or Audemars Piguet or Piaget or Chopard or any of these other high horology, high fashion, high functioning watches. And then as you explore into those worlds, then you start learning like a Louis Vuitton Tambour or Hermes, Slim de Hermes, and you start realizing that, oh my gosh, these watches are more than just fashion watches. You can only get to those places and learn more about those places if you know the reference point where to go from. And that's why it's so important. So for episode 1, I wanted to talk about reference points. Now, let me ask you these questions. When you started your collecting journey, what was your frame of reference? What was your reference point? Did you start and buy your first watch based off of it being a Rolex or not a Rolex, based off of being a Seiko or not a Seiko? I mean, for me, when I bought my first Swiss watch, it was a Tissot PRS 200. And to me, because that was the closest thing I could afford to a Omega Seamaster. So I ask you, what is your reference point? And for your next watch, what are you using to determine whether or not that watch is going to be the watch that you want? Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and let's discuss.